In ancient Rome, Seneca once warned a friend about the dangers of lending money, saying, "Money is the cause of many losses, but the greatest loss comes from helping those who shouldn't be helped." Today, this wisdom rings truer than ever. You've probably been there. That friend who always needs just a little help, that relative who promises to pay you back next month, or that colleague with an amazing investment opportunity. Your kindness becomes their weakness, and your generosity becomes their entitlement. But here's the truth. While the Stoics taught us about virtue and helping others, they also emphasized the importance of wisdom in choosing who to help. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote about the significance of discernment in our actions, including our financial decisions. In this video, I'll reveal 8 types of people you should never help financially. People who can drain not just your wallet, but your emotional well-being. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the end, because the last type is often the most dangerous. They're the ones hiding in plain sight, wearing the mask of friendship while harboring the intent of exploitation. By the end of this video, you'll have the wisdom of the Stoics and practical modern insights to protect your financial and emotional well-being. Let's begin. 1. The chronic borrowers. In the realm of financial relationships, few situations test our patience and wisdom more than dealing with chronic borrowers. These individuals have mastered the art of seeking financial assistance while harboring no genuine intention of repayment. As Seneca wisely noted, a benefit consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer. Ort. This profound observation reveals the importance of examining both sides of a financial transaction: the lender's intention to help and the borrower's intention to repay. The chronic borrower often appears in our lives wearing the mask of temporary crisis. They approach with compelling stories, urgent needs, and promises of swift repayment. Their narratives are carefully crafted to appeal to our sense of compassion and duty to help others. However, as Marcus Aurelius taught us, look beneath the surface. Let not the several quality of a thing nor its worth escape thee. This wisdom encourages us to look beyond the immediate appeal for help and examine the pattern of behavior that defines the chronic borrower. The Stoic philosophy emphasizes personal responsibility as a cornerstone of virtuous living. Epictetus remarked, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Now, this perfectly describes the chronic borrower's mindset. They often believe they are entitled to others' financial support while refusing to acknowledge their role in creating and maintaining their financial difficulties. Their behavior reflects a deeper issue: the avoidance of personal accountability and the unwillingness to face the consequences of their actions. Trust, a fundamental element in any relationship, becomes severely strained when dealing with chronic borrowers. The Stoics viewed trust as a precious commodity, earned through consistent actions rather than mere words. When someone repeatedly borrows without repaying, they're not just taking money, they're exploiting trust, a far more valuable currency. As Marcus Aurelius advised, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. This applies perfectly to financial integrity. Actions speak louder than promises. The challenge for us, as practitioners of Stoic principles, lies in maintaining our composure and wisdom when faced with chronic borrowers. It's essential to remember that while we cannot control their actions or choices, we have complete control over our response. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This means we must learn to say no firmly but compassionately, understanding that enabling their behavior serves neither them nor us. From a Stoic perspective, helping others should never come at the cost of our own financial and emotional well-being. Musonius Rufus, another prominent Stoic philosopher, taught that true generosity must be sustainable and rational. When we continuously lend money to those who show no intention of repayment, we're not practicing generosity. We're participating in our own financial and emotional depletion. The Stoic approach suggests setting clear boundaries and maintaining them with unwavering resolve. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that true help often means refusing to enable harmful patterns. When dealing with chronic borrowers, the most compassionate action might be to deny their requests while encouraging them to face their financial reality. As Seneca advised, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. By standing firm in our principles and refusing to participate in their cycle of borrowing, we might actually help them find the courage to live more responsibly and face their financial challenges with greater wisdom and integrity. Remember, the Stoic path is not about being harsh or uncaring, but about making wise decisions that truly serve both ourselves and others in the long run. When we encounter chronic borrowers, we must strive to maintain our principles while showing understanding for their struggles, always guided by reason rather than emotion. 2. The financial manipulators. In the complex web of financial relationships, perhaps no character is more dangerous than the financial manipulator. These individuals have mastered the art of emotional exploitation, wielding feelings like guilt, shame, and obligation as weapons to extract money from others. As Epictetus wisely noted, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This profound observation becomes particularly relevant when dealing with those who attempt to manipulate our emotions for financial gain. Financial manipulators often begin their approach subtly, testing boundaries with small requests and gradually escalating their demands. They're experts at identifying emotional vulnerabilities, whether it's your sense of duty, your desire to help, or your fear of confrontation. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this context, it means maintaining our emotional equilibrium when faced with manipulation attempts. The Stoic philosophy places great emphasis on emotional control and rational decision-making. When confronted with financial manipulators, we must remember Seneca's teaching. He who has great power over himself will not allow others to have power over him. This means recognizing manipulation attempts for what they are, efforts to bypass our rational judgment by triggering emotional responses. The key is to pause, step back, and evaluate situations objectively rather than reacting immediately to emotional pressure. These manipulators often employ sophisticated tactics. They might share heart-wrenching stories, make urgent appeals, or use flattery to lower your defenses. They understand that emotions can cloud judgment, leading to hasty financial decisions that you might later regret. The Stoic response is to maintain emotional distance while still showing compassion. As Musonius Rufus taught, we can be compassionate without compromising our principles. Setting and maintaining firm boundaries is crucial when dealing with financial manipulators. The Stoics emphasized the importance of living according to one's principles, regardless of external pressures. When someone attempts to manipulate you financially, remember Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. This reminder helps us resist the guilt trips and emotional blackmail that manipulators often employ. The challenge lies in balancing compassion with wisdom. While the Stoics advocated for helping others, they also emphasized the importance of discernment. Epictetus advised, "Don't just say you have read the books, show that through them you have learned to think better." This means developing the wisdom to distinguish between genuine needs and manipulative attempts to exploit your generosity. It's about understanding that sometimes the most compassionate response is to say no, especially when dealing with those who would abuse your kindness. Remember, financial manipulators often count on your discomfort with confrontation and your desire to avoid conflict. They might respond to boundaries with increased emotional pressure, accusations, or attempts to make you feel guilty. The Stoic approach is to remain firm in your principles while maintaining your composure. As Seneca said, the greatest power we have is the power of choosing our response. By choosing to respond with calm determination rather than emotional reactivity, we can protect ourselves while maintaining our integrity. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that true generosity must be guided by reason, not manipulated by emotion. When we encounter financial manipulators, we must strive to maintain our emotional equilibrium, set clear boundaries, and make decisions based on rational judgment rather than emotional pressure. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring, but rather developing the wisdom to help others in ways that are truly beneficial while protecting our own financial and emotional well-being. 3. The perpetual victims. We encounter individuals who have mastered the art of victimhood, those who constantly blame others for their financial misfortunes. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. This profound observation becomes particularly relevant when dealing with those who refuse to accept responsibility for their financial choices and instead point fingers at everyone but themselves. The perpetual victim's narrative is often well-rehearsed and compelling. They'll tell you about how the economy conspired against them, how their employer undervalues them, how their family burden holds them back, or how society itself is rigged to keep them down. While external factors can indeed impact our financial situation, the Stoic philosophy teaches us that our response to these circumstances is entirely within our control. As Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. From a Stoic perspective, personal accountability is not just about accepting blame, it's about embracing the power to change our circumstances. When we encounter perpetual victims, we often witness their elaborate explanations for why they can't save money, why they keep accumulating debt, or why they never seem to get ahead financially. However, as Seneca taught, life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. This wisdom reminds us that we have the power to make meaningful changes in our financial lives if we choose to take responsibility. The Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control and what isn't. While we cannot control market conditions, economic policies, or others' actions, we have complete control over our financial habits, spending decisions, and how we prepare for the future. Perpetual victims often struggle with this distinction, preferring to focus on external factors they cannot influence, rather than taking action on elements within their control. When dealing with perpetual victims, it's crucial to remember that their behavior often stems from deep-seated fears and insecurities. The Stoic approach isn't to condemn them, but to maintain our own emotional equilibrium while encouraging personal responsibility. As Marcus Aurelius advised, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. This means leading by example in our financial decisions and maintaining healthy boundaries with those who might drain our resources through their victim mentality. The challenge lies in maintaining compassion while not enabling their behavior. Stoicism teaches us that true help often means allowing others to face the consequences of their actions. When perpetual victims seek financial assistance, the most beneficial response might be to help them recognize their power to change their situation rather than providing temporary relief that reinforces their victim mentality. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The wisdom of Stoicism reminds us that financial well-being isn't just about money. It's about developing the character and discipline to make wise choices. When we encounter perpetual victims, we must remember that their journey toward personal accountability is their own to make. We can offer guidance and support, but as the Stoics taught, each person must choose to embrace responsibility for their own life and decisions. Remember, the Stoic path teaches us that true financial freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from our internal responses to challenges. By maintaining our own commitment to personal accountability while dealing with perpetual victims, we can serve as examples of financial responsibility and emotional maturity, even as we protect our own resources and peace of mind. 4. The money wasters. In the landscape of financial relationships, few characters are as perplexing as the money wasters. Those who seem to have an almost supernatural ability to squander resources and opportunities. As Marcus Aurelius observed, "Very little is needed. To make a happy life, it is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This profound insight directly challenges the mindset of those who consistently waste their financial resources in pursuit of fleeting pleasures and temporary satisfactions. The money waster's behavior often stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of what truly brings contentment and happiness. They chase material possessions, luxurious experiences, and momentary pleasures, believing these will fill an internal void. However, as Seneca wisely noted, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. This Stoic wisdom reveals the futility of excessive spending and the importance of finding satisfaction in moderation. From a Stoic perspective, the proper use of resources isn't about complete abstinence from life's pleasures, but rather about maintaining a balanced and mindful approach to spending. Dealing with financial parasites requires a firm grasp of Stoic principles regarding boundaries and personal responsibility. While compassion is a virtue, enabling parasitic behavior serves neither the giver nor the receiver. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this context, it means maintaining our own financial integrity and self-reliance while refusing to enable those who would drain our resources without contributing anything in return. The challenge lies in maintaining our Stoic principles while dealing with financial parasites, especially when they are family members or close friends. The Stoics teach us that true kindness sometimes means refusing to enable harmful behaviors. As Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This means being willing to be seen as harsh or uncaring by those who would take advantage of our generosity, knowing that our boundaries serve a higher purpose. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that true financial well-being comes from developing our own capabilities and resources rather than depending on others. When dealing with financial parasites, we must remember that our responsibility is not to provide endless support, but to encourage self-reliance and personal growth. As Seneca advised, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." This means helping others find their own path to self-sufficiency rather than enabling their continued dependence. Remember, the Stoic path teaches us that true wealth lies not in what we can extract from others, but in what we can build and contribute through our own efforts. When dealing with financial parasites, we must maintain our principles while encouraging them to develop their own resources and capabilities, always guided by wisdom rather than emotion. 6. The entitled demanders. In the journey of life, we, encounter individuals who carry a deep-seated belief that the world owes them financial support. These entitled demanders approach life with an expectation that others should provide for their needs, viewing financial assistance not as a privilege or temporary aid, but as their inherent right. From a Stoic perspective, this mindset represents a fundamental misunderstanding of personal responsibility and the true nature of wealth. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that true wealth comes not from what others can provide, but from our own efforts and character development. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This wisdom directly challenges the entitled mindset, suggesting that our financial well-being stems from our actions and choices rather than the obligations of others. Entitled demanders often display a pattern of behavior that includes constant requests for financial support, resistance to seeking employment, and a tendency to blame others for their financial difficulties. The Stoics would view this behavior as a form of self-imposed slavery, being dependent on others' generosity rather than developing self-reliance. Epictetus, himself born into slavery, emphasized that true freedom comes from taking responsibility for one's own life and circumstances. From a Stoic perspective, the path to financial well-being lies not in demanding support from others, but in developing our own capabilities and resources. This involves cultivating practical skills, maintaining a strong work ethic, and developing the discipline to manage our resources wisely. The Stoics believed that every challenge presents an opportunity for growth, and that difficulties, including financial ones, should be viewed as chances to strengthen our character. The entitled mindset often stems from a deeper issue, the belief that life should be easy and that hardship is somehow unfair. However, the Stoics teach us that struggle and effort are not only natural but necessary for personal growth. As Seneca noted, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult." This wisdom particularly applies to financial independence and the importance of earning our way in life. When dealing with entitled demanders, the Stoic approach suggests maintaining firm boundaries while encouraging self-reliance. This doesn't mean being harsh or uncaring, but rather helping others understand that true financial security comes from developing their own capabilities rather than relying on others' support. The Stoics would encourage us to help others by teaching them to help themselves rather than enabling their dependency. The wisdom of Stoicism reminds us that true satisfaction comes not from what we receive from others, but from what we earn through our own efforts. When we encounter entitled demanders, we must remember that enabling their behavior serves neither them nor us. Instead, we should encourage them to develop self-reliance, resilience, and the understanding that financial independence is earned through consistent effort and wise choices. Remember, the Stoic path teaches us that true wealth lies not in what others can give us, but in our ability to live independently and contribute meaningfully to society. By maintaining this perspective, we can help entitled demanders understand that the path to financial well-being lies not in demanding support from others, but in developing their own capabilities and taking responsibility for their financial future. 7. The investment scammers. We encounter individuals who prey on others' dreams of wealth through deceptive investment schemes. These investment scammers are masters of illusion, presenting opportunities that seem too good to be true, yet skillfully crafted to exploit human greed and hope. As Epictetus wisely noted, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This fundamental Stoic principle directly challenges the false promises of quick riches that scammers often peddle. The Stoic philosophy teaches us about the importance of discernment in financial matters. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to look beneath the surface. Let not the several quality of a thing, nor its worth, escape thee. This wisdom is particularly relevant when dealing with investment scammers who often present elaborate facades to hide the emptiness of their promises. True wealth, from a Stoic perspective, comes not from chasing unrealistic returns, but from developing wisdom in managing what we already have. Investment scammers often exploit our natural desire for financial security and abundance. They understand human psychology and play on our fears and desires, presenting schemes that promise extraordinary returns with minimal risk. However, the Stoic teachings remind us that true financial security comes not from external promises, but from internal wisdom and self-control. As Seneca observed, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. From a Stoic perspective, protecting ourselves from investment scams requires developing a strong foundation of financial wisdom and emotional control. This means learning to recognize our own greedy impulses and maintaining a healthy skepticism toward promises of easy wealth. The Stoics taught that wisdom comes from careful observation and rational analysis, not from emotional decisions driven by fear or greed. The challenge in dealing with investment scammers lies in maintaining our rational judgment when faced with tempting opportunities. Stoicism teaches us to examine not just the promised returns, but also the character and intentions of those making the promises. As Musonius Rufus taught, true wealth comes from ethical conduct and wise decisions, not from schemes that promise quick riches at the expense of others. When confronting investment scammers, the Stoic approach emphasizes the importance of maintaining emotional distance while exercising careful judgment. This means resisting the urge to make impulsive decisions based on fear of missing out or dreams of instant wealth. Instead, we should take time to carefully evaluate opportunities, seeking counsel from trusted advisors and maintaining a healthy skepticism toward promises that seem too good to be true. Remember, the Stoic path to financial wisdom involves developing discernment through careful observation and rational analysis. When dealing with investment scammers, we must cultivate the wisdom to see through their deceptive promises and maintain our commitment to ethical financial practices. By following these Stoic principles, we can protect ourselves from financial predators while building true wealth through wisdom and virtue. The wisdom of Stoicism reminds us that true financial success comes not from chasing unrealistic returns, but from making wise, measured decisions based on careful analysis and ethical principles. When we encounter investment scammers, we must remember that our best defense lies not in hoping for miraculous returns, but in developing the wisdom to recognize and avoid their deceptive schemes. 8. The financial enablers. These are individuals who, despite their good intentions, perpetuate harmful financial behaviors by consistently enabling others' poor money habits. These financial enablers often mistake kindness for weakness, repeatedly bailing out those who refuse to learn from their monetary mistakes. As Seneca wisely noted, sometimes even to live is an act of courage, suggesting that allowing others to face the consequences of their actions can be the most compassionate choice. Financial enablers often act from a place of misguided compassion, repeatedly providing financial support that ultimately prevents others from developing crucial money management skills. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that true kindness sometimes requires allowing others to experience the natural consequences of their actions. As Marcus Aurelius observed, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this context, unlike those who enable destructive financial behaviors. The Stoic perspective emphasizes the importance of practicing tough love when dealing with financial dependence. This means setting firm boundaries and allowing others to face the reality of their financial choices. While it may feel painful to watch someone struggle, the Stoics remind us that growth often comes through facing challenges rather than avoiding them. Just as a muscle grows stronger through resistance, financial responsibility develops through facing and overcoming monetary challenges. From a Stoic viewpoint, enabling poor financial habits is a form of harm disguised as help. When we consistently shield others from the consequences of their financial decisions, we deny them the opportunity to develop resilience and wisdom. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes from accepting responsibility for our choices. By enabling others, we actually imprison them in a cycle of dependency. The challenge for financial enablers lies in recognizing that their actions, though well-intentioned, may be causing long-term harm. The Stoics emphasize the importance of wisdom in giving, understanding that not all help is truly helpful. Sometimes, the most beneficial action is to step back and allow others to develop their own financial strength through experience and natural consequences. Practicing tough love from a Stoic perspective requires maintaining emotional equilibrium while watching others struggle with their financial challenges. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring, but rather understanding that true growth often requires facing difficulties. As Musonius Rufus taught, true generosity must be sustainable and rational, not driven by emotional impulses or guilt. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that enabling financial irresponsibility is neither kind nor helpful in the long run. Instead, we must learn to practice compassionate detachment, offering guidance and support while allowing others to face the natural consequences of their financial choices. This approach, though challenging, ultimately serves both the enabler and the enabled by fostering genuine financial growth and responsibility. Remember, the Stoic path to financial wisdom involves helping others help themselves, not perpetuating cycles of dependency. When dealing with financial enablers, we must cultivate the courage to practice tough love, understanding that temporary discomfort often leads to lasting positive change. As we conclude this journey through financial wisdom and Stoic principles, remember that protecting your wealth isn't just about guarding your money. It's about preserving your peace of mind and cultivating wisdom in your financial decisions. The ancient Stoics understood that true wealth lies not in the abundance of possessions, but in the strength of character we develop through mindful choices. Think of your financial well-being as a garden that needs constant tending. Just as a gardener must decide which plants to nurture and which weeds to remove, you must choose carefully who deserves your financial support and who might drain your resources. As Seneca wisely noted, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Your financial journey is uniquely yours, and the wisdom to protect it comes from learning to say no to those who would abuse your generosity. Remember, setting boundaries isn't an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-preservation that allows you to help those who truly deserve and will benefit from your support. Let Marcus Aurelius's wisdom guide your path. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. This reminds us that financial security comes not from endless accumulation, but from wise management of what we have. If you've found value in these Stoic principles of financial wisdom, take a moment to join our community of modern Stoics. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to continue your journey toward financial enlightenment. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Sometimes, the greatest act of kindness is helping others protect their financial well-being. And if these insights have helped you recognize toxic financial relationships in your life, show your support by hitting that like button. Remember, in the words of Epictetus, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Until next time, protect your peace, Guard your wealth and cultivate wisdom in all your financial decisions.